जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हिताई को प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Thank you very much once again, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for kindly hosting this 12th session of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. I'm very grateful to all the devotees who are participating in this weekly discussion. And till now, we have covered the term Anandambudhi Vardhanam in the first verse of the Śikṣāṣṭakam. And we saw last time that the commentators' comments were short, they were brief, and then where the commentators stopped their comments, then we started exploring further. And we saw the various levels of Ananda all the way up to Brahmananda, and how Brahma Ananda is trivialized by Shri Krishna Bhakti, headed by Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And in this way, we concluded the discussion on Anandam Buddhivardhanam. So we have to go to the next particular term, and that particular term is going to be prati-padaṁ pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. So I'll go to the presentation, dear devotees, and you should be able to see the screen now. This is the 12th session, and we'll continue with the freshly composed verse that we have composed for this particular verse of the Śikṣāṣṭakam. Śikṣāṣṭakamrtābhau yo majjanmajjayati svakāni sagaurangastatasthaṁ mam kadabdhau krakshyati swayam. While drowning himself, Sri Gauranga simultaneously causes his near and dear ones to drown in the nectar ocean of Śikṣāṣṭakam. I am a mere bystander waiting at the shore. When will Sri Gauranga forcibly pull me in that nectar ocean? Dear devotees, it is also our practice to begin with a fresh realization from the previous acharyas or shastra every week. So here is a fresh realization from a compilation of the glories of Sri Harinam. This is called Bhagavan Nam Mahatmya Sangraha, a compilation of the glories of Bhagavan's Nam. There's a very nice verse in that collection. Harinama Haristatra Harer Nama Atirichyate Nama Vimrishya Phaladam Vimrishya Phalado Harihi. Harinama Haris. Harinam is Hari. So Nam is not different from Hari. But Tatra, even then, Harer Nama Atirichyate. But Nam stands out superior to Hari. Even though Nam is not different, still in many ways Nam stands out superior to him. And what is one way in which Nam stands out superior? Nama avimrishya phaladam. And vimrishya phalado Hari. Because Hari, vimrishya phalado. He gives the phala, the fruit of prema, the fruit of his love, only after vimarsha, only after consideration. Whereas Nama avimrishya phaladam. Whereas Harinam gives that fruit without any such considerations. So this is a collection of verses on the glories of Bhagavan's Nam. It is called Bhagavan Nama Mahatmya Sangraha. And it was compiled in the previous century. And there were hundreds of verses of glorification of Krishna's Nam from various Shastras. And this is one of the verses, dear devotees. We are continuing the first verse. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava maha davagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandambudhivardhanam Pratipadam Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, kindly read the Anvay once again.
It cleanses the mirror of the consciousness, eradicates the massive wildfire of material existence, causes a moonlight diffusion that blooms the night water lily of all-round auspiciousness, becomes the life and soul of the newly wed bride of all divine knowledge, swells the ocean of joy, causes an experience of complete nectarian bliss in each successive syllable as well as word, and thoroughly cleanses the entirety of oneself. That entity named Sri Krishna Sankirtan reigns supremely victorious.
Wonderful. So, in the previous session, we had covered Anandambudhivardhanam from the point of view of the previous commentators, as well as we saw some new realizations on the term. Now we are on the phrase Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam prati-padaṁ. Prati-padam occurs first in the verse and Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam occurs after prati-padam. But while performing the Anvay, we have placed Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam first and prati-padam afterwards so that we can make a legible sentence in English. So it causes, what causes? Shri Krishna Sankirtan. There are 7 qualities of Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, and this is the 6th quality. So it causes an experience of complete nectarian bliss. Purna Amrita Aswadanam. Aswad is experience or taste, and Purna is complete, and Amrita is nectar. So Purna, complete, Amrita, nectar, Aswadanam, experience or relishment, but it causes it pratipadam in each pada. What is the meaning of pada? Pada can mean step, in every step. But the commentators have explained pada to mean term or syllable. So pratipadam, in every term or in every syllable of every term of Sri Harinam, it causes Purna Amrita Aswadanam. So this is the translation in a sentence format. We have already read this translation. And now we'll go to the previous commentators. Dear devotees, the earliest available Sanskrit commentator is Sri Veerchandra Goswami, who commented on this verse in his Padyavali. Sri Veerchandra Goswami explains Pratipadam Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam as follows. He says, Pratipadam. He takes the term Pratipadam. Prati we understand, every, and Padam. So he says, he quotes a dictionary, Medini Koshat. At the very end of the sentence, you will see Medini Koshat. Medini Kosh is a very famous Sanskrit lexicon, and Medini Kosh gives the meanings of Pada. Padam Shabde cha Vakye cha. So this is the section relevant for us. Padam, the term Pada, refers to Shabda or Vakya, refers to a word or an entire sentence. So the meaning he is taking here is Shabde, in every term. And then there are many other meanings, Vyavasaya, Upadesha, instruction, or engagement, or foot, pada, sthana, trana. Many meanings are there, but we are not going to get into those meanings. For us, the meaning is Shabda, Padam Shabde. So the Medini Kosh explains that one meaning of Padam is Shabda. What is Shabda? Shabda means term, but every term is nothing but a collection of syllables. So Pada here means a collection of syllables, that is a term. So thus the term Pratipada means in each collection of syllables, in each term. Then he goes ahead and explains, Krishna iti namni, in the name Krishna. He says Kakar, Shakar, Nakar. He explains what are the syllables. So in Sanskrit, you add kara to denote a syllable. Kakar, because you cannot independently pronounce these syllables. So it becomes very difficult. So in Sanskrit, consonants cannot be pronounced independently. Vowels can be pronounced independently. A, E, independently, but the consonants require the help of vowels. So if you pronounce K, you require the help of A at the end. Independently, it will just be K. And so, K, R, Sh, N. And at the end, there is A. So he says, Krishneti Namni, in the name Krishna. So the grammarians, they add Kar to make it simpler to pronounce. K, Kar, Sh, Kar, N, Kar. So there is K, R, Sh, N. And these syllables are the constituents, avayava, santi. So he says, prati shabdam, prati avayavam va, pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. So in each and every constituent syllable of Harinam, there is pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. What is the meaning? He says, pūrṇam, triptam, satisfactory relishment of nectar. And having tasted this nectar, one becomes satiated. He says, alam buddhi syat. One says, I've experienced it now. Now nothing more remains to be experienced. Alam buddhi, enough, I've experienced. So alam means enough and buddhi means intelligence. Alam buddhi, the intelligence is enough. I have experienced it now. I have experienced the purna amrita, the most satisfactory nectar. Another meaning, he says, purnam paritam amrita asvadanam yatratat. So purna means all round. One meaning of purna is satisfactory, another meaning of purna is all round. There is all round relishment of nectar. And then he says, etena mohini upamamam. So etena mohini upamam means like every phrase, every adjective is comparing Shri Krishna Sankirtanam to some entity. The previous adjectives were comparing it to a moon or to rainfall. Similarly, this one is comparing to Mohini, because Mohini was the one who gave Amrita Aswadan, who gave complete relishment of nectar to the Devatas, to the various gods during the churning of the milk ocean. So, Etena Mohini Upamam. He says, by this, our Shri Krishna Sankirtanam is being compared directly to Mohini Murti. This is the commentary of Sri Veerchandra Goswami. Then the commentary by Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he in his Anubhashya gives a short commentary. He says, prati-padaṁ means prati-kshanam. So he's taking the meaning of padam as moment, kshanam. So prati-padam means at every moment. Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. Pūrṇāmṛtasya asvadanam yasmatat. It means that this Shri Krishna Sankirtanam causes an experience of complete nectar. The devotee. So this is Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So Shri Krishna Sankirtanam causes an experience, and some other commentators will say Shri Krishna Sankirtanam itself is the complete nectar. So Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur says Shri Krishna Sankirtanam causes an experience of complete nectar. Some other commentators will say Shri Krishna Sankirtanam itself is the most complete nectar. So I will keep highlighting these subtle differences in the commentaries, because by learning from various angles, we come to know that the same term can be interpreted in multiple ways. And this is the beauty of the language. When Sanskrit literature or Sanskrit grammar, it introduces the possibility of having multiple meanings of the same term. And this is the feature of a language which is unlimitedly rich. Otherwise, if the language restricts the meaning only to one flat plane, then it will become difficult for poets to express varieties of meanings within the same term. So it is not the limitation of the Sanskrit language that it gives ambiguity to the meanings of the terms. It is in fact a wonderful feature of any language that it allows multiple meanings to be present within the same term. So this should not be seen as a limitation of Sanskrit. This is in fact one of the most wonderful features of the Sanskrit language, that it allows multiple meanings to be present within the same term. Now, Sri Utsavananda in his Anand Chandrika says, prati-padaṁ pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam, padam padam prati sakala rasasvādakaram. So, prati-padaṁ pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam means that padam padam on each successive step. So, he is taking the meaning of padam as step on each successive step. Padam padam. So, we have heard the term padam padam, pipadam. So, padam padam there means in each and every step. So, here also he is saying prati padam means padam padam prati. And sakala rasasvada karanam. Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is the cause of experience of all devotional rasas. The devotees, these are the commentators and Sanskrit commentators, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashaya has also commented on similar lines. He has commented almost given the same meaning. So I'm not discussing his commentary separately here. We'll go to the other commentator, Sri Radha Govindanath. He says in every padam, prati padam, and he's taking the meaning of padam as term. And what is a term? A term is a collection of syllables. So in every term uttered during Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, one obtains an experience of pūrṇāmṛta, all devotional rasas. And he says this is because Sankirtan is the personification of all joy. It is Ananda Swarup. It is the personification of all joy. And he is not going to say without giving praman. So he says, I will give praman for this. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 17.135 confirms. Krishna Nama Krishna Guna, Krishna Leela Vrinda, Krishnera Swarupa Sama, Sabachedānanda. Krishna Nama, Srila Prabhupada translates Krishna's holy name, Krishna Guna, Krishna's transcendental qualities, Krishna Leela Vrinda, and Krishna's transcendental pastimes, Krishnera Swarupa Sama, are all equal to Lord Krishna. Sabachedānanda. Just as Krishna is spiritual and full of bliss, Krishna's name is spiritual and full of bliss, Krishna's pastimes are spiritual and full of bliss, and Krishna's qualities are spiritual and full of bliss. So, Krishna's Naam is personification of all joy. This was the claim made by Sri Radha Govindanath, and he is supporting his claim by giving a reference from Shri Caitanya Charitamrita. So, further, he says, another praman, another proof regarding the same point. So he is not happy with giving one praman. He is saying, I am going to give another praman. Dear devotees, this is called sthūna nikhanana nyaya. Hammering a pillar, hammering a post within the ground. If you want to hammer a pillar or a post within the ground, simply by hammering it once, it won't be fixed within the ground. So sometimes you need to hammer it more than once. So sometimes when a particular commentator gives more than one pramanas for the same point, so then they are using sthūna nikhanana nyaya, or the axiom or the maxim of hammering a post within the ground. So another praman from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tattva vastu Krishna Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa Nama Sankirtana Sabha Ananda Swarupa. Srila Prabhupada translates, the absolute truth is Shri Krishna, and loving devotion to Shri Krishna exhibited in pure love is achieved through Nam Sankirtan. And what is Nama Sankirtan? Ananda Swarupa. It is the essence of all bliss. So Sri Radha Govindanath has proven his point by giving two pramanas, that Shri Krishna Sankirtanam itself is the essence of all bliss. Prati-padam, in every step. No. In every term. Padam here, the meaning he has taken is every term of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. There is going to be the experience of complete bliss. Now, a question arises. See, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is all blissful, Ananda Swarup. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying prati-padam. In every term, there is that relishment. So question arises whether the relishment is in complete Sankirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is one instance of a complete Sankirtan, or only in a single term, Hare, is it pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam, or only in a single syllable, Ha, is there pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. Prati-padam, in every pada, dear devotees, I had shown you Medini Kosh. Pada means term, pada also means a sentence. So what is the meaning of prati-padam? We need to utter the full sentence in order to receive the entire joy, or we need to utter any one term, or we need to utter just a syllable of any particular term. So Sri Radha Govindanath is going to take up this point very soon. He says, Nama, Bhagwan's name, is non-different from Nami, the named personality, Krishna. And he says, since Nam and Nami are non-different, the Nam is as Purna, complete, as the Nami, as the named personality. Purna, dear devotees, what is Purna? He says the term Purna, complete, refers to an entity from which if everything is removed, it still remains Purna. And he gives a praman from the invocation of Upanishad, Shri Ishopanishad. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Dāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, have you read this invocation verse of Shri Ishopanishad?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, do you know the approximate meaning of Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate?
If you take the complete from the complete, it still remains complete.
Wonderful. So, this is the meaning. If you take out the complete from the complete, still the complete remains complete. So, he's quoting this Praman, he's saying Purna is that from which if everything is removed, still it remains Purna. See, he's taking the term Purna from pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam, and he is meditating on the meaning of the term Purna. And then he says Purna means boundless, all-pervasive. Actually, it is not possible to separate any small part from such a boundless object. Still, if at all it is possible to have some part of such an object, that part too will have all the characteristics of a Purna object. And then he says the only such truly Purna, complete entities are Krishna and his Naam. And the relishment that one gets by chanting complete Naam can also be had by chanting a single syllable of that Naam. And will not speak anything without Praman. The proof of this is Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who chanted single syllables of Jagannath's Naam and got the complete experience. Sri Radha Govindnath quotes Sri Caitanya Charitamrita to make his point. Sarvange prasveda chutte tate raktodgama chachakaga gadgada vachana. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's whole body perspired and at the same time oozed blood. He made the sound in a voice choked with ecstasy. This is when he saw Bhagavan Jagannath in front of him. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, instead of uttering the entire name Jagannath, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is only uttering pada, single syllables. Prati-padam, in every syllable. Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam, there is experience of complete relishment. He says Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu got the complete experience of sweetness by chanting Jagannath, simply while chanting individual syllables of the name Jagannath. What greater praman is needed? What greater proof is needed? That prati-padam, for a devotee who is on the level of prema, even a single syllable is capable of giving pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. So this is the meaning of prati-padam pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. He says that the sweetness of Naam is such that it steals the heart. For those who truly chant Naam with that level of love, it is capable of stealing one's heart. Once uttered, the tongue is unable to give it up. He says, Shri Radha once spoke of this experience of not being able to give up the chanting of Nam. Dear devotees, now he quotes the sweetest poet, the dearmost poet of Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Chandidas. And Shri Chandidas has composed a song in which Shri Radha is experiencing Purvarag. Purvarag is the situation where she has not yet met Krishna for the first time, but she has heard his name, and that name has attracted her very much. Shri Chandidas is singing. Sai ke basunaila Shyama nama कानेर भीतर दिया मरम पास लगो आकुल करल मोर प्राण. Sai. Sai is rough form of Sakhi. Sakhi, oh dear friend. Keba Shunaila Shyamanam. Who made me hear the name of Shyam? Kanera bhitar diya. Through the ear, it entered. Marame pashilago. It entered the marmasthan, it entered the heart. Akula karila mora prana. And now it has agitated my life airs. Finally, Chandidas continues. Na jane katek madhu Shyam name ache go Vadana chadite nahi pare जपिते नाम अवश्य कर लगो के मन पाए बेसखी तारे. ना जाने कतक madhu. I don't know how many varieties of madhu, of honey, of nectar, Shama Nama Achego are present in this name of Shyam. Vadana chadite nahi pare. My mouth cannot give up uttering it. Japite naam, as I constantly utter, as I constantly chant, Avashya kari lago, this name has made me helpless. Kemana paibe sakhi tare, O sakhi, can you please tell me how I will attain him, how I will meet him for the first time? This, dear devotees, is a description of the Purvarag of Shri Radha in the words of Vaishnav Kavi Shri Chandidas. Dear devotees, you notice I have highlighted a certain part. Na jane kate ka madhu, Shyam nama achego. I don't know how many varieties of nectar are present in this name of Shyam. The reason why I have highlighted this is because Sri Radha Govindanath highlighted this and said that this poem of Sri Chandidas became the inspiration of Sri Rupa Goswami. And this highlighted part of Sri Chandidas's poem was used as it is by Sri Rupa Goswami in the most famous verse on Sri Harinam that was composed by Sri Rupa Goswami. And that verse came from Vidagdha Madhava Natakam. And in Vidagdha Madhava Natak, Sri Rupa Goswami composed this verse, which took inspiration from Sri Chandidas's poetry. तांडविनीरतिम्बितनुते तुंडावली लब्धये कर्णाक्रोडकडम्बिनी घटयते कर्णार्बुदेभ्यः स्पृहां चेतः प्राङ्गणसङ्गिनी विजयते सर्वेन्द्रियाणां कृतिम् नो जाने जनिता की यद्भिरमृतैः कृष्णेति वर्णद्वयी. Krishna iti varnadvayi. When the bisyllabled name Krishna This is a lady, Varna Dvai. When the lady of this bisyllable named Krishna enters the mouth, Tunde Tandavini Rate, it dances and dances and dances. Who is there within the mouth to witness the dance? In the mouth, there are 32 dvijas. Dvija means twice born. And teeth are also known as dvijas because teeth take birth twice. Milk teeth and permanent teeth. So in the assembly hall of the mouth, there are 32 dvijas, twice born sitting. And Tunde, when this lady enters into the mouth, this lady has two syllables, Krishna. She dances and dances in front of these 32 dvijas. And as a reward, Tundavali Labdhe, she wants more and more mouths to dance. See, the nature of a lady in Sanskrit literature is she who expands her dominion. That is the nature of a lady as expressed in Sanskrit literature. When she gets married, she expands her family. She also causes the man to buy a house. She also causes the man to increase his economical situation. So her presence causes expansion of all good fortune. So as soon as she enters the mouth, she wants more mouths to dance. Karna Kroda, when she enters the ear holes, Kadambini Ghatayate, she sprouts like Kadambi Shak. Kadambi Shak is water spinach. And water spinach sprouts very vigorously. It needs more and more space. You can see here Kadambi Shak. This is water spinach. Needs more and more space for further expansion. Karnar Budebhya Spriham. What does water spinach want? Millions and millions of more acres of space. Similarly, this Harinam also wants millions and millions of years for further expansion. Chetaha Prangana. Finally, when Harinam enters, this lady of Harinam enters into the courtyard of the mind, Sangini, she becomes the wife of that living entity. And just as a wife takes over all the activities of the home, Shri Harinam takes over all the activities of the senses. And Shri Rupa Goswami says, No jane janita ki yat viramrite. I do not know how many varieties of nectar have gone into the formation of this bisyllable lady, Krishna. The devotees, Shri Rupa Goswami's inspiration in this particular verse came partly from Sri Chandidas. So, pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. This is Amrita. You can see Amrita in the last line. How many varieties? I do not know how many varieties of Amrita have gone into the formation of this bisyllable name, Krishna. So, dear devotees, this is Sri Rupa Goswami expressing prati-padaṁ. Prati-padaṁ. Even Rupa Goswami says, pada means that both syllables, syllable by syllable, it produces complete experience of joy. Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. Dear devotees, this was Sri Radha Govind Nath's commentary. Now we go to our final commentator for the day, Nam Vigyan Acharya, Sri Kanupriya Goswami. Sri Kanupriya Goswami says, there are 7 characteristics of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam in the verse. We all know there are 7 characteristics. Cheto, Darpana, Marjanam, etc. Except for this current one, Prati-Padam, Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. The remaining 6 are describing Tatastha Lakshanam, secondary characteristics of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Only this current term, Prati-Padam, Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam, describes its Swarupa Lakshanam, primary characteristic. What is Tatastha secondary and what is primary? First, you please explain to us, then we will know, whether this particular characteristic is primary or secondary. So he says, all right, I will tell you what is secondary and primary characteristic. Let's learn what is Tatastha Lakshan, secondary characteristic, and Swarup Lakshan, primary characteristic, directly from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, I will give a praman from Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will learn about these 2 characteristics. This is the praman he gives from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Akriti prakriti swarup Swarupa Lakshana Karya Dvara Jnana Tatastha Lakshana. Akriti, shape. Prakriti, nature, Swarup, innate form of any entity are known as Swarup Lakshan, primary characteristic. On the other hand, the effects produced by that entity are known as Tatastha Lakshana, secondary characteristics. So this is Swarupa Lakshan, primary characteristics, and Tatastha Lakshan, secondary characteristics. Now, dear devotees, I will specify one by one, and I'll ask Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu whether this particular characteristic is an effect or whether it is present within Shri Harinam. For example, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. It cleanses the mirror of the heart. Prabhu, is this an effect of Harinam or is it present within Harinam?
It's an effect.
So an effect is known as a secondary characteristic. Wonderful. Bhava Maha Davati Nirvapanam is, it extinguishes the great forest fire of material existence. What is it, Prabhu?
It's an effect.
It's an effect. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It spreads the moonlight of all auspiciousness. Please tell me, what is it, Prabhu?
It's an effect.
Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. It gives life to Vidya. What is this, Prabhu?
It sounds like a relationship to me.
Yeah. But or it becomes the husband of Vidya. So basically this also is an effect. It was not that after it manifests, it produces this effect. That is what it is.
It gives life.
Yeah, it gives life.
It's the effect.
Yeah, it's the effect. Right? Anand Ambudi Vardhanam. It swells the ocean of unlimited joy. What is this, Prabhu?
It's an effect.
Sarva Atmasnapanam. It thoroughly cleanses one's entire existence.
It's an effect.
It's an effect. But prati-padaṁ pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. In every syllable, its own constituent syllable, it is complete nectar. So, Prabhu, is this an effect or is this an innate quality?
It's describing the innate quality of Harinam.
Yes. So this is what Sri Kanupriya Goswami is saying here. So we can see the commentator's genius in analyzing the term is immense. No wonder people used to call him Nam Vigyan Acharya. He studied, how thoroughly he must have studied this particular verse in order to come to this particular conclusion and support it through Chaitanya Charitamritam. So he says, now we understood that prati-padaṁ pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam is Swarup Lakshan. It is the innate characteristic of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. He says, through the Shastras and Sadhus, we get ample references about effects of Nam. What Nam does? It drives away sin. Tatastha Lakshan, secondary characteristic. It gives all auspiciousness. Tatastha Lakshan, secondary characteristic. You read about glories of Harinam in Shastra through the mouths of sadhus. Most of the time you will hear these Tatastha Lakshana. Very rarely will we find references about Swarup Lakshan. What is Nam in itself? For example, let's say Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu is a very famous and influential person in society. So whenever he goes somewhere, people say, oh, there goes the person who helped hundreds of children. There goes the person who uplifted hundreds of poor people. There goes the person who is so well known in society. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu says, these are the effects that I have produced. But who knows me? Who knows me as I am within my heart? So, very rarely the Swarup Lakshan, the primary characteristic, that how sweet Nam itself is, not what the effects that it produces, how sweet it itself is, by itself, how sweet it is. That is very rare to be found. We are very fortunate that in this verse we found that particular primary characteristic of Sri Harinam. One such example of essential sweetness of Nam is found in the utterances of Sri Radha. And he quotes the same poet by Sri Chandidas, that Sri Radha Govindanath quoted, that how sweet Harinam is. When Sri Radha was glorifying Shyam Nam, was she glorifying the secondary effects? No, no. She was just saying, I fell flat for this Nam itself. This Nam itself is carrying so much sweetness. So we don't want to describe Nam according to the effects that it produces. It's good to describe Nam according to the effects, but we want to get into a closer relationship with Shri Nam by describing Nam as a person, by describing the innate, inherent qualities and characteristics of Shri Nam. That is how we get close to Shri Nam, because so many Shastras and Sadhus describe the effects of Nam. Chant one Nam and you have read the four Vedas. Haven't we heard this? Chant one Nam and even a dog eater can become qualified to perform a Vedic sacrifice. All right. All of those things we have heard. But we want to get acquainted with the person Nam, the Swarup Lakshan, the innate characteristics of Nam. That is, Nam is pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. Nam is complete sweet nectar in each and every term and in each and every syllable. This is who Nam is. What is the chemical composition of Nam? If somebody asks, the answer is pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. This is who Nam is. So this is the point that Sri Kanupriya Goswami is trying to bring us to. Many times devotees, one time a devotee asked me, why are you quoting these? Just a few days ago, why are you quoting these commentators who are not within your lineage? I said, because, see, first and foremost, they are within my lineage in the sense that they are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. They are very much within my lineage. I consider Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's family to be my lineage, not simply my own lineage of gurus to be my lineage. Secondly, if I stop learning from these wonderful sources, then in one sense, I am also rejecting the flow of realizations that Mahaprabhu is giving through these various branches. So, dear devotees, I cannot reject any flow of realization, genuine realization that is coming through any branch. Therefore, it is so important to study from these various personalities. Sometimes they may have some differences of opinion over certain issues. But one thing is, they are free from the tendency to critique the personal character of each other. They never critique the personal character of each other. They might have had some philosophical differences of opinion. That's all right. But on this point, all the acharyas are agreeing that Nam is pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. And Sri Kanupriya Goswami is bringing so many wonderful realizations on this particular point. All right, let's move ahead. Why is it, he says, let's ask another why. Why is it that the Swarup Lakshan, primary characteristic, regarding the essential sweetness of Nam is not discussed so frequently? Why is it? Most of the times that we see discussion of Nam, it is about the effects that it produces. Why do sadhus not discuss so much the essential sweet nature of Nam? In reply, he says, because the sweetness of Nam is a subject matter which is experienced by one-pointed sadhaka devotees in their solitary practice. For example, if Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu has experienced a particular sweet, and then that experience of sweet he's trying to describe to others who have not experienced that sweet, that becomes very difficult. Because to describe how sweet a particular sweet is, it is not possible to put it in words. In the Narad Bhakti Sutra, there is a sutra, sutra number 52. Mukha Swadanavat. I am sharing my screen here. Mukha Swadanavat. This is Narad Bhakti Sutra, Sutra 52. Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, please read the translation.
Trying to describe the experience of pure love of God is like a mute's effort to describe what he tastes.
Mooka. Mooka means somebody who's mute, who cannot speak. Asvadanavar. But he tastes something sweet. And similarly, words are not sufficient to describe what is felt by Sri Radha, what is felt by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, what is felt by these one-pointed sadhakas. Yet, as crazy as they are, sometimes they try to speak it out in words. And this is our great good fortune. Otherwise, we would never know the primary characteristics of Sri Nam. Then he says another point is to understand that there is no difference between Nam and Nami. This is the same point that Sri Radha Govindanath brought out. Nama Chintamani Krishna. Nama is directly Krishna. The devotees, Shri Krishna's glories, he says, are spread throughout the world. And what is the reason that Krishna's glories are spread throughout the world is mainly because of his Leela. People speak his Leela. Krishna did this, Krishna did that, Krishna killed this particular demon, lifted Govardhan. But much superior to his glories is his immense personal sweetness. See, Krishna did this, Krishna did that, all right. But who will love Krishna for who Krishna is? As a person. So, his immense personal sweetness is experienced only by the Rasika devotees who, instead of seeing him through the secondary characteristics, see him through the primary characteristics, as in who is Krishna. And who is Krishna? Sri Rupa Goswami describes in the very first verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Oh my goodness, the joyous personification of all nectarian rasa. This is Shri Krishna. That is the primary characteristic of Shri Krishna. So Sri Jiva Goswami has spoken of this. Ata eva ananda rupatvamasya mahad hridaya sakshikam. Only the hearts of great devotees are the greatest proof of the joyfulness of Nam and the joyfulness of Shri Krishna. Otherwise, if you look into Shastra, you will find only the secondary effects of Nam and the secondary characteristics of Krishna. He killed him, he killed this demon, he lifted this, he did that. But who is Krishna if he would have not performed all of these activities? Who is Krishna? That is Mahad Hridaya Sakshikam. Only the hearts of the devotees know who Shri Krishna is. You cannot put it in words. Mukha Asvadanavat. It's like a mute person trying to describe what a great sweet was. Since Nam and Nami are non-different from each other, he says the joy of Nam is the same as the joy of seeing the Nami. The joy of seeing Shri Krishna's personality, his persona in front of us, is the same joy of uttering his Nam. And he's not going to say without Praman. He says there are Praman for both. First, let's see what is the joy of seeing Shri Krishna, the personality. And he quotes a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is by Dhruva Maharaj. Tvat sakshatkarahnāhlāda vishuddhabdhi sthitasya me sukhani goshpadayante brahmanya jagadguru. Dhruva is saying to Bhagavan, my dear Lord, O Jagadguru, O Master of the universe, Tvat sakshatkarana, since I have directly seen you, ahlada, my transcendental bliss, Vishuddha Abdi has become a big ocean. My joy is now like a big ocean. Sthitasya, and I am swimming in that ocean. Sukhani goshpadayante. All other happiness has become as insignificant as water in the hoofprint of a calf. You cannot swim in that quantity of water. But this is the joy of seeing Nami, directly seeing Krishna. Brahmani api. Even impersonal realization has become very insignificant for me. He says, Jagat Guru. So this is the joy of seeing the personality. Now the joy of Nam should also be equal. So he says, yes, there is Praman for the same. He quotes Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita. Krishna name ananda sindhu aswadana Brahmananda tar age khatodaka sama. Srila Prabhupada translates, compared to the ocean of transcendental bliss that one tastes by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The original says Krishna Name in any Krishna Nam, but Srila Prabhupada highlights Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The pleasure derived from impersonal Brahman realization, Brahmananda, is like the shallow water in a canal. The devotee same level of joy of seeing Nami, seeing the person and chanting Nam, because Nam is non-different from Nami. So the same level of joy should be experienced on uttering Nam. And that is what Sri Radha was experiencing, isn't it? Sri Radha was experiencing that same joy, same level of joy, dear devotees. He says, how do we achieve that? By taking shelter of Nam with the greatest other respect. One attains closeness to Nam and Nami, and then equal attraction for both entities arises within one's heart. Do not take Nam as an artificial imposition, a punishment for the mind. Other, with respect. It begins with respect, dear devotees. It begins with respect. Later in this series, we will cover these points in great detail. Those who do not feel any attachment for Nam, sometimes they think, why chant Nam when we don't have any attachment? Why chant any Nam when we don't have any attachment? So, what is expected in the beginning is not attachment. What is expected in the beginning is other, respect. We had discussed this in Shri Upadeshamritam, also in the 7th verse, where Sri Rupa Goswami compared Nam to Aushadhi, to a medicine. Dear devotees, in a medicine, we are not expected to have attachment. Nobody is attached to a medicine. But in a medicine, we are expected to have other, respect. That is the stage from where we can begin. Otherwise, if we keep giving this false argument that, oh, we don't have any attachment, so what is the point of chanting? No, no. In the beginning, attachment is not expected from us. Later, attachment is expected. But in the beginning, other is expected. Respect, just as respect for a medicine is there. Other, respect is expected for Harinam. At least treat it as a medicine and take it respectfully. Right? So this is what is expected. Then gradually that closeness, proximity to Nam, proximity to Nami will occur, and then attraction will occur. He says there's an incident which expresses how Sri Radha experienced equal attachment for Nam and for Nami. And this is described in a wonderful verse. Dear devotees, he quotes a Bengali poem actually, but that Bengali poem is by the author Sri Govinda Das. That poem is taken from a verse by Sri Rupa Goswami. So instead of quoting that lengthy Bengali poem, I am quoting the original verse of Sri Rupa Goswami. Those who want to see the Bangla poem that Sri Kanupriya Goswami had quoted, they can see his original commentary. But that poetry was based on this verse of Sri Rupa Goswami. So same message. Sri Radha is experiencing equal attachment for the Nam and for the person. This is a verse which Sri Rupa Goswami composes in Vidagdha Madhavam. She's experiencing Purva Rag. She has not yet met Shri Krishna. She has not yet, she doesn't even know if this person is named Krishna. So she has no idea. Of course, in the spiritual world, they all know each other completely. But when they descend in the material world, the paripati, the sequence of pastimes is such that she gets to know him for the first time. So in that sequence of pastimes, before she knows who he is, there is a very sweet verse in the Vidagdha Madhava Natakam by Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Radha's Purvarag, wonderful verse. Ekasya shrutameva lumpati matim Krishneti namaksharam Sandronmad paramparam panayatanyasya vamshikala Esha snigdha ghanadhyutirmanasi me Lagna sakrid vikshana Kashtam dhik purushatraye ratirabhu manye mriti shreyase. Shri Radha is saying to her friend Lalita, Vishaka, etc. Ekasya shrutameva lumpati matim. On hearing the name Krishna of one particular man, I don't know who he is. She has not met him yet. Lumpati matim, my mind loses itself. My mind swoons helplessly. Sandronmad paramparam apanaya tyanyasya vamshikala. Another man, Vamshikala, plays his sweet Vamshi flute. And whatever mind I have remaining, that mind also becomes completely maddened by the flute play of another man. And this Sakhi is showing me a painting. And this painting is of a third man. Snigdha ghana dyotir manasi mein. And this man is having a dark cloud-like complexion. And this painting is also not going away from my heart. Kashtam dik, alas, spy on me. I am a chaste lady, Purushatraye. My mind has become attached to three different men. Although I am considered to be chaste. Manye mriti shreyasi. I think death is preferable to living in this unchaste manner. So this is Shri Radha, who doesn't know that these are not three different men. These are the characteristics of the same person. So, dear devotees, Sri Kanupriya Goswami has quoted this to prove that equal amount of rati, equal amount of attachment will be present in Nam and Nami. What a brilliant use of a verse that he has made, that in Nam of Bhagwan and in Bhagwan himself, Shri Radha has equal attachment. So this, dear devotees, is how it is not an exaggeration that Nam is non-different from Nam. So Sri Kanupriya Goswami is proving it using so many pramanas. Dear devotees, therefore, when we chant Shri Krishna Nam, the ultimate state of attainment is to have the same experience as if we are having Shri Krishna in front of us. Pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. One meaning of Pūrṇāmṛta is complete nectar. And who is complete nectar? Shri Krishna is complete nectar. So pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam can be also translated as Krishna Asvadanam, directly tasting Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna Sankirtanam is directly tasting Shri Krishna, directly relishing Shri Krishna, because Krishna is non-different from his Nam. But one thing we should know, he said it should be known that Krishna's Nam is as divine and self-manifesting as Krishna himself. So it is not possible that we will use our senses to grab Shri Krishna's Nam and taste it. But Shri Krishna's Nam doesn't become subservient to our tongue. But in fact, Shri Krishna's Nam mercifully descends on the tongue. And he quotes Chaitanya Charitamrita to make this point too. Ata eva Krishna nam deha vilasa prakritendriya graya nahe ayasva prakasha. The holy name of Krishna, his body and his pastimes cannot be understood by the blunt material senses. They are manifested independently. The original says Sva Prakash. They descend. We cannot grab them. They are not objects to be taken from the shelf of a superstore and put into our cart. They manifest by their own sweet will in our life. When they see that we are Seva Unmukh, when they see that we have become sincere, determined in our tendency to render seva. Dear devotees, therefore he says the Rasik devotees pray that please, O Bhagwan's Naam, descend on my tongue. And he quotes Sri Rupa Goswami's Namashtakam. Narada Vino Jivana Sudho Miniryasa Madhuri Pura Tvam Krishna Nama Kamam Spurame Rasena Sada. Narada Vino Jivana, Naam, O Krishna's Naam, O enlivener of Narada's Veena, O Sudhor Viniryasa Madhuri Puram, O Nam, whose overwhelming sweetness is like the concentrated essence of multitudes of wave of nectar. My goodness, primary characteristic. O Nam, whose overwhelming sweetness is like the concentrated essence of multitudes of wave of nectar. This is how I could best translate it. This was a long compound term. Narad Vinod Jivan is secondary characteristic. You enliven Narada's Vina. That is an effect. But this is what is the primary characteristic. Tvam Krishnanam, O Krishnanam, Kamam, freely and lovingly, Spurame Rasane, sport on my tongue. Rasena Sada. Lovingly, please manifest yourself on my tongue. Not grudgingly, lovingly become present on my tongue. This, dear devotees, he says, is the mood of the previous acharyas. He says, finally, one should understand. He gives another example. Moonrise causes many phenomena. What are many phenomena? In your mind, think of moonrise. Blossoming of certain flowers, giving joy to certain couples, etc. Many effects of moonrise. To see the effects of moonrise in the blossoming flowers, in the young couples, is to see the Tatastha Lakshan, secondary characteristic of the moonrise. But the Swarup Lakshan, primary characteristic of moonrise, is seen in the direct joy experienced by the Chakora bird. The Chakor is the quail, and it is said that the quail directly feasts on the nectar rays of the moon. It doesn't feast on an effect of the moon. It doesn't feast on the flower. It doesn't feast on seeing the young couple. It feasts directly by absorbing the rays of the moon. So he says, similarly, Rasikas of Nam take direct joy in relishing Nam. They don't take joy in the effects of Nam. They take joy in the direct pronunciation, utterance of Nam. And by taking to the practice of Nam as a practitioner, one gets rid of all distress, attains all joy, crosses over the limits of all joy and becomes situated in an ocean of bhakti rasa, pūrṇāmṛta. Then nothing else remains except for relishing such bhakti rasa. Dear devotees, I have tried to give the main points of Sri Kanupriya Goswami's commentary. He had written a commentary of 8 pages on pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam. And I cannot, cover all the 8 pages. He had also included a lengthy story about a prince who is 7 seas and 13 rivers, who crosses 7 seas and 13 rivers, and many stories he has given in there. But the main point of his commentary I have got out. So, dear devotees, this is his commentary. But I would like to very honestly say that the ideas that he has expressed have come certainly out of his personal realization. This is not simply some theory he's speaking. He must have gone deeply into the sadhana of Sri Harinam Sankirtan in order to be able to express truths on these levels. In comparison to that, I feel myself to be very much insignificant, and therefore, dear devotees, I'll end this particular presentation with a verse which expresses my insignificance. Shrinam tava mishtatve tiktatvaropanam kritam mekya rasagyayaivayi tam kshamasvaparadhini. Shrinam, O auspicious Harinam, tava mishtatve tiktatva aropanam kritam. Bitterness was falsely attributed in your sweetness by none other than this ignorant tongue of mine. Agya rasagya, my agya rasagya, my ignorant tongue. Rasagya means tongue and agya means ignorant. Me agya rasagya, agya rasagyaya, by this ignorant tongue, bitterness was falsely attributed in your sweetness. Tam kshamasva, O Nam, please forgive aparadhinim, this offensive tongue. Dear devotees, with this, I will pause my speech here. Yadatra sthalitam kinchid vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushtavam kinchid tad guru reva me nahi. Yadatra sthalitam kinchid. If I made any mistake, if my tongue made any mistake, she is aparadhini, she is offender. But vidvam saha, your learned devotees, purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. Yadatra saushtavam kinchid. But if there was anything nice, Please know, Tad Guru Reva. Me nahi. It belongs to my Gurujanas, my Diksha Guru, my Shiksha Gurus, all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, all the God brothers of Srila Prabhupada, all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in all the families of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the past, in the future, and in the present, including all of you. It belongs to all of you, me nahi. It doesn't belong to me. All of these personalities are my Gurujanas because my own Guru Maharaj, my own Diksha Guru, used to read from the commentary of Sri Radha Govindanath. And he used to tell me that you should read from these various commentators so you'll understand many angles of vision. Don't get into the small philosophical differences that they have. See the broader picture and learn from so many people. Just like he said, just like you go to a university, you don't start taking sides with professors. You learn from all the professors who can give knowledge to you in a particular field. So with this spirit, dear devotees, this series of presentations is being made. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I mean, wow, what a beautiful and inspiring class. I'm really blown away because it's simultaneously so deeply rooted in our tradition, and at the same time, for our generation at least, a kind of new revelation. It's like it's a renaissance, like a bhakti renaissance. Yeah, I have never heard these realizations before, but they're not new. So it's like it's really, really amazing, and I'm so delighted and pleased. I just don't know what to say from such a wonderful class. Besides, thank you. I know you won't take credit because it's the realizations of his previous acharyas, but without you, I would never hear these things. So I'm very grateful.
I am a shoe shiner. I shine the shoes of this previous personality. I am a shoe shiner. Thank you.
I'm speechless, Prabhuji. We're going to go now to questions and answers, and we'll just request that you keep your questions focused on today's class. And we don't want to ask questions which bring up comparisons between ideas presented here and specific individuals or institutions. For example, saying, well, you said this, but this institution does that, so what do you have to say about that? These are like loaded, politically kind of minded questions. So we don't want to get into that territory. We're here to understand the beautiful philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And this is an informal setting. So we're not beholden to any particular institution here, but just the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. It's a more free-form kind of setting. And if you have any really detailed questions that Hari Parsha Prabhu would have to do some research about, you can put it in the WhatsApp group. It might be better suited there. Anything else, Prabhuji?
Yeah, and if somebody wants to join the WhatsApp group for Q&A,
I'll share the link right now.
Yeah.
So if you're watching on YouTube and you'd like to join live, you can just send an email to this email address and include your WhatsApp number and your country code. And lastly, we want to give everyone a chance to ask a question. And so please ask one question at a time with a possible brief follow-up. But 2, 3, 4, 5 questions in a row starts to take from other people's time. So, but if you can still ask your question, just get back in line, and in the back of the line, you'll work your way back up to the front again. So, with that, we will begin with Purushottam Prasad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandatna. Thank you so much for the enlightening session as usual.
My problem.
And I like very much the conclusion note that you said, if you go to a university, we don't take a professor's side, But the student who is in or searching of real knowledge will listen from all the professors. That's really a eye-opening comment, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Prabhu, the verse that you mentioned from Vidaga Madhavam,
Hmm.
that says, yes, Krishneti Varnadvai. Those two syllables, Krishna, is produced. We need millions of years and millions of tongues to. That is where with the sadhaka, when they attain the namaruchi state, he will feel that, or bhava, how a sadhaka can attain that state. If you throw some light on it, we'll be grateful, Prabhu.
So, Hare Krishna. So, when will a particular sadhaka attain that stage where they are having this experience of tunde tandavini rating vitanute? Yes. Yeah. So the stage ideally which is mentioned in that particular verse is a stage of prema. On the stage of bhav, you start having certain little bit of experience of that. The stage of prema, the full flow of Bhagwan's personal presence and sweetness of Bhagwan's Naam is experienced. Sri Rupa Goswami is writing on that particular stage because all of Sri Rupa Goswami's writings are on the stage of Uttama Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. So that is the level on which he had written. When he composed this verse and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu literally pushed him to sing it in front of everybody, and he sang it in front of everybody, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have never heard such a glorification of Sri Harinam. Never I have heard such a glorification of Sri Harinam. This is unparalleled. For the first time I am hearing such a glorification of Sri Harinam. Obviously, this is describing a person who has personally gone and experienced the stage of prema and experienced the sweetness of Bhagavan's Naam. Of course, he is Sri Rupa Goswami, he is Sri Rupa Manjari. Therefore, it is natural and innate for him. So that is the answer to the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Next we have Abhaya Vishvambar Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the enlightening session. I just wanted to correlate. I was just not able to correlate, so I'll just try to express it in short. So you were explaining the Swarup Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan, and Mahaprabhu was describing, the about Harinam and Śikṣāṣṭakam. At the same time, Mahaprabhu did mention that anybody who chants even Krishna Nam even once should be considered a Vaishnava. Mahaprabhu understands that the beginner may not be experiencing this lakshan. At the same time, what is the mood at that time by which he's trying to emphasize that everybody should be considered Vaishnava even if they chant once?
So what is the mood with which Sri Mahaprabhu is saying that even if they chant once, they should be considered a Vaishnava? Because the secondary effects of Harinam are described in such a way in Shastra. Yan namadheya shravananu kirtanat. In the third canto, it is specified, even if a dog eater chants once, he is as good as a Brahmana who is performing a Vedic sacrifice. So it is the word of the Shastra that the person who has chanted even once immediately rises to the status of a Brahmana or the status of a Vaishnava. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is simply following in the footsteps of Shastra and saying that anybody who chants even once should be considered on par with a Vaishnava, at par with a Vaishnava. So isn't Shastra exaggerating when Shastra is giving such glories of Naam? So no, because if we start saying that Shastra is exaggerating when it is chanting when it is speaking of glories of Naam, then we are falling victim to the Naam aparadh, which is Tatha Arthavada, that we are considering the glories of Naam to be an exaggeration. This is one of the 10 aparadhs of Sri Harinam. So these are not exaggerations, and I am also not exaggerating in saying that these are not exaggerations. In due course of this particular series, we will get into a detailed discussion about why the statements pertaining to Sri Naam are not exaggerations. Because once we have that Shraddha, we have that faith that statements pertaining to Naam are not exaggerations, then we will be able to chant with that faith and with that respect. Many are not able to chant with that faith, with that respect, because sometimes this hindrance is there. Maybe it is over glorified. So that is not the case. But it requires a lot of conviction. And the previous acharyas have given that conviction. But I will, in due course of time, when other verses come up, then we will discuss in detail as to how the glories of Harinam are not exaggerations. So this is the short and sweet answer to your query, Prabhuji. I hope this satisfies your query. Thank you.
Thank
I have a question, Prabhuji. If we look at any name of Krishna, it's either describing Krishna's pastimes in terms of his relationship with his devotees or things that he did, or some quality of his, like being all attractive, which we also learn from his pastimes. So you could say that all of Krishna's names are derivative from his pastimes. They're also absolute. But why is it that we hear more glorification of Krishna's name than Krishna's pastimes?
Why is it that we hear more glorifications of Krishna name than Krishna's pastimes? Because Krishna's form, pastimes, qualities, the descriptions of all of this is dependent on Krishna's names. Tell me a single pastime of Krishna without taking the name of Krishna.
I mean, I can. I could describe his qualities like in that verse you quoted of Radharani, the blue person
Yeah,
who plays the flute.
yeah. Yeah, so it stands out independent in the list of name, form, qualities, and pastimes. The base of all of that is Naam.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have qualities unless you have a Naam to whom you can attribute the qualities. You can't have pastimes unless you have a Naam to whom you can attribute the pastimes. So the Naam is the base of form, qualities, pastimes. Let's say you want to describe form, and you describe the form, and at the end of the whose form? So that is the adhar, that is the base of the form, qualities, and pastimes. This is one reason for as to why it is glorified more than pastimes, qualities, form, etc. Because all of them are dependent on now. I just want to say, I'm sorry, there may be a little disturbance coming from the background. Please excuse me. Today, there is more disturbance in the background.
I can't hear anything from your end.
So you can't hear. All right. Okay.
No, I can't hear anything. I just hear your voice.
Okay. Right. Then it's perfect. All right.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Next we have Bhakti and Dorothea.
Hare Krishna, Guru Gauranga Jaitaha. I would like to express my appreciation for your presenting Acharya's teachings from other branches of the Chaitanya Tree, and especially also that we have learned the terminology Swarupa Lakshana and Tatashta Lakshana. It's very helpful to distinguish the glories of Harinam in that way, so that we can go to the source and understand a bit more about the essence of Nam. Thank you very much. My question is about, I think it was Sri Radha Govinda Nath Goswami, not sure, who quoted from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the verse where Shri Caitanya Mahāprabhu stuttered Lord Jagannath's Nam while seeing Lord Jagannath, and he quoted it as a praman that for the fact that even if chanted incompletely, the effect of Nam is still there. And when I read the verse, then I had this impression that he was experiencing these symptoms because he was seeing Lord Jagannath, and then as an effect of that ecstasy, he also chanted like this. So in that way, is there some kind of aspect of non-difference that I'm missing, or would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, so when Jagannath came out from the temple and Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath in front of him, he wanted to utter the name of Jagannath, but due to the effect of his ecstasy was gadgada. He became choked, and therefore the only syllables that he was able to speak are ja ja ga ga ja ja ga ga. But at the same time, the result of speaking those syllables is raktodgama. There was some blood profusely flowing from his body. So that was the effect of chanting ja ja ga ga ja ja ga ga. So that is also described in the same verse. Tate raktodgama. That it started, his body started showing other symptoms because of chanting that Naam. I will once again pull out that verse, and this is the verse. Sarvange prasveda chute tate raktodgama jaja gaga gadgada vachana. So he's chanting jaja gaga, but there are other symptoms. Blood is flowing, there is perspiration in his entire body. So his ecstasy is increasing because of the chanting of the syllables of Bhagwan Jagannath's Naam. For a Premi Bhakta, it is not needed that the full Naam should come out. Even single syllables of Naam are sufficient. And there are many such other verses also in Shastra that Bhagwan Shiva says, or Shri Krishna says, when I hear the syllable Ra of Radha's name, then, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, immediately my heart becomes attracted to that person. Ra ka Radha. So like that, there are many verses in Shastra. And it is not that, of course, Jaja Gaga was an effect of his ecstasy, but that in turn produced more further symptoms of ecstasy. So that is how this should be understood. I hope that clarifies.
Yes, that clarifies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next we have Nritya Gauranga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Yashta Prabhupada. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you so much, Prabhu. And I would like to echo every single word that Dhāmeśvara Prabhu has said. It was absolutely amazing class. And I would say that I'm learning so much, and a lot of misconceptions have been clearing out with your classes, and I'm thoroughly enjoying your classes. And I'm eternally indebted to you for this. So, Prabhuji, the question here is, you were mentioning about Dhruva Maharaj, like when Dhruva Maharaj saw the Lord in front, like he was in ecstasy. So, but then it was only for a few moments, right, after that the Lord disappeared. So, when you compare in the material world, like when somebody is very thirsty, he has not drunk water for a couple of days, and you are offering him a sweet water, then once his thirst is quenched, then probably the next day when he's not so thirsty, he may not be enjoying this water so much. So, but in the spiritual world, when you have access, let's say when you have the darshan of the Lord, or when you have the association of the Lord for the first time, will that continue forever like that? Or just like in the material world, once your thirst is quenched, okay, next time you may not experience the same joy. So what is the praman in the Shastras that will let you know that every moment is the same? That you will feel the same ecstasy of joy. What is the praman in the Shastras?
All right.
I hope my question is clear.
Yeah. It is very clear. So your question I will summarize. In the material world, once you get a long cherished object, after getting that object, your thirst is quenched. And
Yes.
But in the spiritual world, once you obtain Shri Krishna, then what is the Pramana in Shastra that once you see Krishna, you should feel constantly the newness within Shri Krishna in order to be constantly attracted to him. Am I correct? That is the question.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chalo, let's tackle the question with a direct pramana from the Srimad Bhagavatam. A direct pramana from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis are looking at Shri Krishna, and what does their experience say? This is 10th canto, chapter number 44, verse number 14. Gopyastapah kimacaranya damushya rupam lavanya saram samurdhvamananya siddham drigbhi pibantyanusavabhinavam durapam ekantadham yashasam shriya aishwarasya. This verse in the meter Vasanta Tilakam is speaking about the experience of the gopis. Please read the translation, Prabhu.
What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That form is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare.
Oh my goodness, it is ever fresh.
Ever fresh.
Let's highlight the original term. All right. It says Anusava Abhinavam. What is the word for word, say, Prabhuji?
Constantly new.
So that is the experience of seeing Bhagavan. Very, I told you, it is mukasvadanvat. You cannot describe in words.
Yeah.
In Brahma Samhita it says, Nava Yauvanam, constant, fresh, sweet youth. So that is the experience of the gopis and of all the people who are seeing Shri Krishna. Krishna's beauty is constantly refreshing enjoyment for the eyes of the beholders who are in love with him. If there is any sort of boredom while looking at Krishna, then it means that we are not looking at Krishna. We are probably looking at somebody else. Right? So, those who are looking at Krishna, their experience is described directly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, that, let me also try to find as another, in Ujjwal Nilmani, 14th chapter, verse number 146, Sri Rupa Goswami describes what is Anurag. Anurag is in front of you. Atha Anuragah. Sada Anubhutam Apiyaha Kuryan Navanavam Priyam Rago Bhavan Navanavaha So Anurago Itiriyate. Sada Anubhutam Api. Sada Anubhutam. Although he is always experienced. Sada, always Anubhutam, experienced. Yaha Kuryat, but he manifests something. Nava Navam Priyam, new, charming nature he manifests. Constantly new. Nava Navam Priyam, constantly refreshing, charming nature. And Raga, Bhavan, Nava, and the attachment also becomes constantly refreshed. Saha Anuraga iti, that stage of prema is called Anurag. So this, is the nature of the spiritual world. And the stage of Anurag, you start experiencing, although I've seen him for so long, but he just appears to be so wonderful. Oh my goodness. I can't get my eyes off him. So that is, I'll just say one short thing. A few months ago in India, I was giving a program in another city. I saw a young boy who was like 4 or 5 years old, and he had curly hair, and the eyes, my goodness, I had never seen such eyes in my entire life. My entire, what is lotus eyes? I thought this is perhaps the only pair of lotus eyes that I'm seeing in my life. And because I was conscious, I didn't want to take a photograph of him because I was conscious that the parents may notice. So I didn't take a photograph of him. But in my heart, I remember, oh my goodness, I could never take my eyes off the wonderful eyes that the child had, and in combination with the curly hair. So I understood that although this is a situation of the material world, what would be the situation in seeing Bhagavan Shri Krishna directly? Literally, till the end of the program, I just wanted to gaze with the corner of my eyes. But due to respect for, there is some maryada, some limitations. You can't stare at a child constantly. So due to that limitation, I didn't do that. But oh my goodness, if I could, I would literally fall into the waterfall of his eyes. That is what but never again have I seen, never again I saw such eyes. So when you have that personal experience, that solidifies what is, what it is going to be, the experience of Shri Krishna directly. But I can only tell you, unless you see with your own eyes, you will not be able to have that experience. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. That's wonderful.
There's also that verse, Akshanvatam palamidam naparam vidama.
Yes.
The Gopi said, now we've realized the true purpose of our eyes to see Sri Krishna.
Yeah.
We only have one complaint. Brahma is a terrible creator. He's done it all wrong because he made these eyes blink.
Yeah.
And for that moment, we're not able to stare at Krishna. So, curse him. Curse Brahma for making us blink.
These are not the over-exaggerated fantasies of a poet. These are actual, real experiences of the gopis. And, only somebody who has seen Bhagwan in that way will be able to have that sort of an experience. But wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Wonderful.
Next we have Samarpana Gopa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guruji, Dandar Pranam. Very, very grateful for your presentation. And
your voice is a little quiet. If you can speak closer to the microphone that picks up your voice.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Is it better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I may be inappropriate in inquiring, Prabhu, because I had some seva. I joined little late the class. However, I express my question. You decide whether to answer or not. I am just trying to understand this. What is the sweetness of Krishna? Is it just his form and vision of it, or it's the quality of being controlled by his devotees? So when I study Srimad Bhagavatam, many places I see like that. So can you please define what is this sweetness? Is it only about the form which is seen by people, or it is about the means? Just I wanted to have a clear understanding of what is this sweetness is, which is being experienced by these devotees. Theoretical, but I want to understand.
All right. So, what is the sweetness of Krishna? Give the theory of what is the sweetness of Shri Krishna. So, how should we speak of the sweetness of Shri Krishna? It is described that this sweetness takes over all of your senses, not simply your eyes. It takes over all of your senses. And it is fully experienced only when you have Sakshat Darshan, personal darshan of Shri Krishna. So that is when that complete takeover of sweetness happens in your life. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.21, or I think it is 1.1.22, has given 12 stages or 14 stages of progress. Satam Kripa Mahat Seva Shraddha Guru Padashraya Vajaneshu Skriha Bhaktir Anartha Pagamasatha Nishtha Ruchi Ratha Sakti Rati Premat Darshanam Harer Madhurya Anubhava Ityartha Syus Chaturdasha. I'll share that verse because that verse deals with the query that you have asked. This is from his commentary on 1.121 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 14 stages of progress. But the second last stage is darshanam. Darshanam is when you get a direct vision of Sri Krishna, and the final 14th stage is Harer Madhurya Anubhav, a complete experience of Hari's sweetness. But on the strength of this, I said that first you need to have Sakshat Darshan, and only on the strength of that Sakshat Darshan, you will be able to have a complete experience, because your question is in relation to complete experience of Krishna's sweetness. Otherwise, when you are doing dhyan, when you are doing smaran, you may have experiences or partial experiences of the sweetness. But when he manifests himself in front of you, then you have a complete experience of his sweetness. Now, what does that complete takeover look like? It is described in Padyavali, in a verse where Sri Radha says that she was going to the banks of Yamuna, and she saw one particular, a blue light, and she got attracted to it. I'll pull out that verse. This is in Padyavali. Let me quickly pull out that verse where she says that nahi jane, I don't know what has happened to me after that. Yes, here is the verse. I am sharing this verse. Please see. Sri Radha says, Puro nilajyotsna tadanu mriganabhi parimalas Tatulila venu purṇāmṛtāsvādanam kanche kalarava Tado vidyudvalli valaita chamatkara lahare Tarangalavanyam tadanu sahajanam the udagat. This verse is in the meter Shikharini. Sri Radha was walking on the banks of the Yamuna. She has not yet seen Krishna. Purva Rag is there. Suddenly she says, in the distance I saw blue light. Puru Nila Jyotsna. First I saw blue light. I was so deeply attracted. I started walking. Tadanu Mriganavi. As I walked closer, I smelled deer musk. Mriganavi. And deer musk is the best perfume of the entire creation. Modern day perfumes can never equate. Today, true deer musk is not available. All are artificial. One little bit of deer musk can make the entire room fragrant. That is the quality of true deer musk. But then I smelled the fragrance of deer musk. Tato lila venu. Then I heard playful flute music. Then he's taking over her ears. First he took over her eyes. Then he took over her nose. Then he took over her ears. Then I saw him fully. I saw Lavanya. I saw radiating beauty. My goodness. Sahaj Ananda Udagat. Immense natural bliss I experienced within myself, because all of my senses were taken over by this wonderful persona of Shri Krishna. So this is how I can describe, like a mute person. This is what experience of sweetness looks like. And then you may have anubhav. Anubhav means after effects of experiencing this. Then you may experience standing of hair on the end, because for the first time, you are experiencing it. You may start shedding tears, etc. So those anubhavs may come after you experience Shri Krishna's sweetness for the first time. So that is the answer for your query. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Next we have Sarupani Harini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhar Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. Actually, this is my fortune to be in your class, Prabhuji, and I'm not even eligible to ask this question. But in today's lecture, when you mentioned about Svarupa Lakshana and pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam,
Yeah.
So I mean, if you tell in one angle only, I can understand, but you have presented so many angles. So now my question is, the Svarupa Lakshana of the Nama is that even if you utter like Ra sound itself, it gives the pūrṇāmṛtāsvādanam is what you mentioned. So does that mean that any Nama of Krishna has the same effect, or is it the only Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
All right. So this, I'll give a short answer now, but this discussion will come up later, because Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. Bhagavan has given, invested his potency, Sarva Shaktis, all his potencies in all his names. Nam Akari. Bhagavan has invested all his potencies in all his names. We'll try to see that later, but short and sweet, there is the concept of Swapriyanam. Swapriyanam means the name which is dearmost to us. And that cannot be dictated, or that cannot be told that this is the only Nam you should be chanting. That artificial imposition will not work. So, Nam has to be Swapriyanam. Swapriyanam means that name which is dearmost to us. That name which is naturally very dear to us. And I will try to, quote a verse which is from Brihad Bhagavatamritam. And that Brihad Bhagavatamritam, I think it had a verse like that. But still in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse, Evam Vrataha Swapriyanama Kirtya Jatanuraga Dritachitta Uchchai Hasatyatho Roditi Rauti Gayati Unmadavan Rityati Lokabahya. I am sharing my screen. This is 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and 2nd chapter, verse number 40. Evam Vrataha Swapriyanama Kirtya. Mataji, on the screen, can you read the translation of Swapriyanama?
When one thus engages in the oath to chant.
No. I am saying just the translation of Swapriyanama.
I couldn't see the translation, Prabhuji.
Here it is in front of you. Can you see?
Own very dear holy name.
Yeah. So that is the meaning of Swapriyanama. So if a particular Naam is very dear to oneself, so that particular Naam should be constantly uttered. That will be the recommendation of the Acharyas. But I'll take that up later, but not in this particular verse, because the subject matter belongs to Nam Akari verse. That subject matter doesn't belong to this verse. So please stick with us till that time, and even after that, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So next we have Abhay Vishvambar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just had one question. The ever newness of Krishna's roop. Sometimes, personally, I'm not able to experience with respect to Archa Vigraha. So, is that an exception in that case, or is it a fault in me that I am not able to experience it? The newness or the sweetness in Archa Vigraha or the deity form.
All right. So, is it my weakness that I am not able to experience the sweetness in the deity form? We have to understand how the previous acharyas saw Bhagwan's Vigraha. Previous acharyas, how would they get a Vigraha of Bhagwan? So how, for example, Sri Madhavendra Puri, he did not purchase a deity from the market. And then he said, it's nothing wrong to purchase a deity. I mean, you can also buy it. But Sri Sanatana Goswami, he initially was not very inclined to do this, a lot of seva for Madan Mohan. He just hung him on a tree and said, whatever I'll get, I'll give. Why? Well, I am more engaged in Naam and writing my books. So later, obviously, that connection developed, but the acharyas were very precise about the point that just as there is Swapriya Naam, there is Ishtadev, deity who is naturally dearmost to us. That concept should fit within our heart. that there may be millions of deities in the world, but there is one deity with whom we call Ishta, Swa Ishtadev. And with that one Ishtadev, you can have reciprocation. On the other hand, what has happened is, nowadays we are told any deity you see, you should have prema with any deity. So that is not what is expected from you. What is expected from you is you should have an Ishtadev amongst the millions of deities, and nobody will dictate to you. Oh, Abhay Vishwambar Prabhu, you should go to this particular temple and that is the only deity you should have prema with. If you don't have prema for this deity, then you're good for nothing. If such statements are made, then it means that this is some sort of an artificial imposition which previous acharyas never believed in. Previous acharyas had their Ishta Dev, and that those Ishta Devs were usually they came to the acharyas in very special moments. Like Giriraj Govardhan came to Sri Raghunath Goswami through the hands of Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Like Sri Govinda Dev Ji came to Sri Rupa Goswami in a very miraculous and special manner. Like, all of these deities they were not bought from a marketplace. Although technically you can buy a deity from a marketplace and then you can develop a relationship later with that deity. It's up to the person. But historically, deities were not bought from the marketplace. So this is one thing I'd like to clarify. Deities were given by one Vaishnava to another Vaishnava, when one Vaishnava had the confidence that this another Vaishnava will be able to serve this particular deity. Or deities would be self-manifest. That is how most of the Ishta Devatas we have today in Gaudiya Vaishnava. So if you have such a deity, well and good. Naturally, if you don't have, then focus on another limb of bhakti. What are other limbs of bhakti? Japa, Kirtan, Smaran. So many are there. So Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Any one limb can give perfection. Understanding Srimad Bhagavatam from many angles. Any limb can give perfection. So it is of utmost importance to be organic and natural in one's approach. Like last year, I was traveling to the States and I met one Mataji. She just started describing, out of the blue, she started describing how she had one Gopal deity, and that Gopal deity got lost, and she was trying to find him for so many days. And then every day whatever she speaks to the deity, she was trying to describe. And I noticed something, that she was very genuine in her speech. She naturally speaks to her deity. She naturally speaks to her deity. She loves to speak to her Shri Vigraha. She has that level of attachment. And I said, my goodness, I wish I would have had this level of attachment. I wish I would have had this level of attachment. I am a dry flower on the wall in comparison to that level of attachment. But I wish I would have had that level of attachment. But maybe I can develop another limb of bhakti and perfect my existence. All right. So it's not that. It should happen naturally, organically. Bhagwan's arrangement is there. If not, there are other limbs of bhakti also. All right. Kali Yuga, it's not deity worship is the Yuga Dharma of Dwapar Yuga. So we cannot artificially impose it on Kali Yuga. That should be understood. All right. Thank you very much.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So the world of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is very broad and sophisticated and also detailed.
Right.
All of us have dedicated our lives to studying it, and even then, it's really hard to hold it all in our minds and hearts.
Right.
And so sometimes, as neophyte devotees, we compensate for a kind of aversion we might feel to, disagreements or, different ways that different teachers see things, because we're confused or threatened by that. we have some sort of an emotional reaction. And then a lot of times we'll compensate by creating a philosophy around a particular person, guru, institution. Ours is the only way. It's like it'll be a very rigid, kind of black and white, limited, us versus them kind of philosophy. Sorry, my daughter's kind of loud.
No problem.
But
yeah.
So, how can we grow out of this mindset and at the same time protect ourselves from getting lost or confused, and maybe entertaining ideas that aren't actually bona fide?
All right. So, since Gaudiya Vaishnavism is so vast, it is almost impossible to study all the various branches of knowledge which are present within Gaudiya Vaishnavism alone. So, how do we remain broad-minded and at the same time, how do we avoid the pitfall of getting into some understanding which is not bona fide? So, if we have one guru who is Uttam Adhikari, who is situated on the level of bhakti that we are aspiring for, if one such guru is present, whom we call as the Mahanta Guru, the central personality of our lives is present, then no matter wherever we go, and maybe sometimes we may pick up something incorrect from somebody, but sooner or later it will be rectified because our main source of inspiration is bona fide, or our main source of inspiration is a devotee who has attained the goal of life, which is prema on the path of raganuga bhakti. If we are still in that experimental mode, I want to find somebody, then there is a possibility that we may be swayed here and there by various people. But if we have that, if Krishna's arrangement has manifested that one person in our life from whose feet we will never go away, then we may go anywhere in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and then sooner or later we will become mature enough to understand what Shastra says, what is bona fide, what is not bona fide. And even then, there is no need to make a cult around any particular guru. This is one of the worst things that people do, is they turn a person into an institution. And I am saying this because I have seen it happen so many times, that a very genuine guru is surrounded by followers who have made him inaccessible to others, or who have made him so who have made him look inaccessible to others. When in fact, if you speak to that guru, is very commonly approachable and very informal in his dealings. So institutionalization of a person is something which should not happen. And then based on that, we take sides. Are you with my guru or are you with that guru? And then there are terms which are frequently used. One of the terms I have heard is, are you belonging to the party or the anti-party? So, these are terms which I have heard. So this is not why I came to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And party, anti-party, I can do in my family. I don't need to be a Vaishnava for that. In my relatives, we have party and anti-party, who was favorable to my father and who was not favorable to my father. And I have not come here to do the same thing in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, party and anti-party. And my perfection in Gaudiya Vaishnavism doesn't depend on being a member of a certain party. So I was good fortune that my Guru Maharaj never made me member of any party. That he always kept me in an open university. So an open university setting is one which works best for any particular form of religion. And this open university setting, where you can approach any particular teacher, what if he teaches you something wrong? There is always the possibility that you may learn something wrong from a particular teacher. But you should have faith that Paramatma within your heart or some other Vaishnava will correct that understanding. So just because of the fear of learning something incorrect, you don't, or you reject an entire person, that is not what I have learned from my Guru Janas. And for this reason, I neither try to impose my Gurujanas on others, I neither try to project them on others. So, in fact, the personalities whom I have been quoting in Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam, they are not belonging only to my branch of Gaudiya Vaishnava. They are from so many other branches. And of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that there are upper sampradayas, there are those who have clearly deviated from the teachings of Mahaprabhu. So we take note of that caution given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But if I know who is from an upper sampradaya or something like that, I would rather look for anything bona fide still present within them and still try to take something of good essence from them. Because Gaudiya Vaishnavism does not believe in eternal purgatory for the damned, so to say. That is not Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And Gaudiya Vaishnavism believes that things will correct themselves. Course correction will happen in due course of time. Sooner or later, my course correction will also happen if I have made a mistake. Sooner or later, somebody else's course correction will also happen. That faith we should have. And Krishna has said in the Gita, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I will protect what you have and I will carry what you lack. And this applies to all the Vaishnavas. If they have, sometimes some Vaishnavas say, oh, is your lineage bona fide? Is that lineage? Well, I once heard an opinion. Only Advaita Acharya's lineage is the only bona fide lineage remaining in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So I started laughing at that point of time. Because in effect, they were saying that even other traditional branches are no longer valid. So sometimes I laugh at such opinions because I know that these opinions and the fighting which is around these opinions have nothing to do with spiritual life. Absolutely nothing to do with spiritual life. Unless somebody experiences Krishna Bhakti Ras, and if your party and anti-party is going to give you an experience of Krishna Bhakti Ras, then go ahead and do it throughout your life. But I'll guarantee you this party and anti-party engagements are not going to give you a direct experience of Krishna Bhakti Ras. So unless we rise to the platform of an Uttam Bhagavat who sees the presence of Bhagavan within everyone's heart and accepts what is required and neglects what is not required, but respects everybody, that open university setting should be promoted. And I am a thorough supporter of such a mode of learning. Although I am faithful to my own institution and my own Gurujanas. So that is the attitude which I have taken in my particular spiritual life. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful answer. Next we have Paramakaruna Prabhu.
Pranam. Just to extend that discussion a little bit, Prabhuji, I wanted to share my thoughts or comments and invite your feedback on it. If you want to correct any piece in that. So, like you very nicely explained this thing. So my thinking is, or within the, it's not about bona fide or not bona fide, but within a bona fide or, setting, there are many devotees that have various likings or in their various limbs of seva. Whereas a particular devotee may have his own liking in a particular limb of seva. So somebody he may listen to and they are emphasizing maybe, Sankirtan or book distribution, or somebody is really into deity service. If you sit in any class of theirs, they will glorify that. Somebody may be a Rama Bhakta and will, only speak from Ramayana. So, and they're all very glorious devotees. So what I'm getting from you, if there is a devotee who's the listening, and he has a certain taste, a certain liking that he or she has picked up, then there is, like you said, no harm absolutely in listening to those or getting the value from those other devotees, but apply that to one's own liking, whatever may be the valuable points. And if there is no misalignment from what they are speaking, then take it and then have your own Mahanta Guru or your own Bhajan Guru. If there is any misalignment that one observes,
Right.
get it clarified from there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that today, if you heard a very inspiring class on deity worship, but one's heart is not in that, let's say one's heart in Bhagavat Shravan, doesn't mean one should keep switching around. One should understand that that is their mood.
Right.
And these are all very valid limbs of bhakti.
Right.
And one continues to stay fixed on his own path, get guidance from his guru. And in case of any misalignments, approach the guru, get the doubts clarified, and continue on your path.
Right.
But respect and listen to all others, knowing that they have their own tastes and their own sweet choices or their own sweet likings in which they relish the bhakti. So
yeah. So this understanding is confirmed by Sri Rupa Goswami directly in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sri Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this is 1.2.264. Sa bhaktir ek mukhyanga shrita naikaangikathva swavasana anusarena nishthatah siddhikrit bhavet. So sa bhakti, that bhakti is ek mukhya anga ashrita, can be sheltered on one limb, one main limb, or aneka angika athava, or she can be of multiple limbs. But who is the deciding factor? Swavasana anusarena, according to your own previous devotional inclinations. Nishthatah, you have your nishtha, and through that nishtha siddhikrit bhavet. That will be the cause of attainment of perfection in your respective spiritual life. That is directly mentioned by Sri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now nobody can stand up to Rupa Goswami and say, but. No, you don't put ifs and buts in what the Acharya of the Sampradaya is saying. Nobody has that particular right, because Sri Rupa Goswami is writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. His word is the final word in as far as deciding these things go. And one thing I'd like to say, and this devotees can meditate upon this, one thing I very much liked, I saw my grandfather also, he used to perform bhakti. He was a devotee of Shri Rukmini Vitthal, and he used to stay in my village. And in that village, there were 6 people who were belonging to that group. Others were not devotees, but the 6 people group, they used to, every morning they will gather. And whenever everybody gathers, they will have their Mangal Aarti, which is around 4:30, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in winter sometimes. There was no post or position involved because there were only 6 people in the village. Sri Rupa Goswami wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in such an environment. There were 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan and it was a village, right? So that is the environment in which Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written. Can you think of yourself in a village environment where there are 5 like-minded people and you have to perform bhakti? So I like to perform my bhakti in that informal setting, although I take all the good points of an institution. But I know that Sri Rupa Goswami wrote his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in a village setting where 6 people would gather every morning for their kirtan. This is where the environment in which Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written. And I cannot fool myself into thinking that Sri Rupa Goswami was writing it in a big temple filled with thousands of devotees. No, that is not how Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written in a very informal setting, in a village setting, and where there were no posts or positions to be had. So there are 3 things that should be removed, and then you perform your bhakti. It will be very nice. Remove all the posts, remove all the positions, remove all the money, and remove all the followers. And then whatever bhakti remains is your bhakti. And if those things are removed, and then whatever remains is who you are in your bhakti. And if those things are added, if those things are needed as a support for making me a devotee, then reconsider your position. So one should be able to stand in one's devotional life as if one is staying in a village where there is no post, position, money, or followers involved. That is the setting for which Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has been written. And the ideal person who follows the entirety of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is somebody who knows that setting. So with that setting in mind, one should perform one's bhakti, and one should know the precautions given by the previous acharyas. Rupa Goswami has said, he has given the precaution that swajatiya, or hasn't he already told that you should associate with those who are like-minded? Did he say anything against other sampradayas? No. He just said what one should do. One should associate with one's like-minded devotees. That's all. All those negative warnings, this person is deviated, don't associate with him, don't associate with that person, this devotee was highlighting Smaran, no, we should highlight Kirtan, reject this person. All this nonsense comes because we think that we have to deliver thousands of people in a single day. And that is not going to happen. Bhakti is going to remain sudurlabha, immensely difficult to achieve, because people have these hang-ups around concepts which are not belonging to Shastra. Therefore, let's get rid of those hang-ups. I told you, we are a devotee. We are that devotee, which we are after we remove any post, any position, any money, and any followers that we have. Then the devotee that remains is the devotee that we are. So that is the devotee, we should keep in our mind, and that is the devotee who needs to progress. So, thank you.
It's no coincidence that the ones that you mentioned also are mentioned by Sri Rupa Goswami as non-limbs of bhakti.
Yeah.
After he describes the limbs. So you're completely aligned with the previous acharyas. And also, like, not just not bona fide or something, but we should also refrain from, like you said, imposing our favorite limb of bhakti on others. It's fine to say book distribution is great, but if you are not doing it, then what's the point of sitting in a corner and reading Bhagavatam? Or if you are not reading Bhagavatam, what's the point of sitting in a corner and just chanting Harinam? These statements are also very
Prabhu. Yeah. I have seen even high. Yeah. One of my Shiksha gurus, very influential Vaishnav. He was belonging to our society, and after he left this world, many devotees were so inspired by him. They started giving him upadhis. Upadhis means they started giving him titles after titles. One of the upadhis they gave him is Prem Yuga Acharya. And that is how, they would push him. Hey, have you met the Prem Yuga Acharya? When I heard it for the first time, I said, who are you speaking about? Then I realized they're speaking about this, about my own Shiksha Guru. So I said, well, for me, I would rather have him without the Upadhi. Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikana Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Because like pushing one's Guru in somebody else's face is not at all something that I appreciate. Therefore, even though I have my Shiksha Gurus, I have my Diksha Gurus, I try not to make an attempt to push them in somebody else's face, to rub them in somebody's nose. Because these things are accepted voluntarily. They're not accepted by somebody's canvassing or somebody's forcing. So that is how it should be. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Amazing answer, Prabhuji. You said if you just remove the money and the followers and the positions, whatever's left is your bhakti.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's really in the mood of that verse you like to quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Next we'll go to Samarpana. Next we'll go to Gauranitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhus, dear devotees. I would like to ask about this statement of we have to have a respect for developing understanding of these effect qualities when we chant Harinam. Can you tell something about the process, the sadhana, how we can develop respect and then more attachment to these qualities?
All right. So what is the sadhana for developing respect and attachment for Bhagwan's Naam, Bhagwan's qualities? In the Upadeshamritam series of talks, there was a verse, Kintu Adarad Anudinam Khalu Saiva Jushta. The Adar came up in verse number 7 of Upadeshamritam. There we went into a detailed discussion about what is Adar, how to chant Harinam with respect. And there the recommendation of the previous acharyas was given. Manah samharanam shaucham maunam mantrartha chintanam avyagratvam anirvedo japa sampatti hetavah. How to chant with respect. So this was dealt. I will quickly pull out that particular slide so that I can give a quick understanding. Those who, if yourself or anybody else wants to have a detailed look at it, then you can refer to that session on Sri Upadeshamritam, where this was covered in great detail. So I will very quickly pull out that slide. Just a second. Manah samharanam shaucham maunam mantrartha chintanam avyagratvam anirvedo japa sampatti hetavah. Yes, I'll share my screen with you, Prabhu, so that you can have a look at this particular slide. Respectful japa with good qualities. Manah samharanam shaucham maunam mantrartha chintanam avyagratvam anirvedo japa sampatti hetavah. Following 6 qualities will cause one to attain great results in japa. This is japa with respect. Manaha samharanam. First, concentrate your mind. How to concentrate? That also was covered in detail. So each one of these 6 was dealt in great detail. Shaucham, how to maintain cleanliness and purity. Maunam, what is the meaning of silence during japa. Mantra artha chintanam, how to meditate on the meaning of the mantra during japa. Avyagratvam, how not to be in a hurry. And anirveda, how not to become dejected if results are not achieved quickly. So these are 6 qualities, because many tips are given about respectful japa, but these are the original 6 tips, original 6 recommendations given by the previous acharyas. So these are the 6 which I recommend to everybody because they come from our tradition and they have worked for the previous acharyas. So if you are interested in this, Prabhuji, you kindly have a look at the Upadeshamritam series. It was around lecture 40 or 41 in Upadeshamritam, and you will find this particular slide with all the details within it. So that is the short answer to your question, but the detailed answer is in that series of talks. I hope that satisfies your query. Thank you. Thank you.
Next we have Samarpana Gopra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for the previous 2 discussions which Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu and Param Karuna Prabhu asked. Your words are always very broadening, and your content and your conduct is both helping us to become more broad and clear and non-offensive about the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and other practices. My question is about actually this Sankhya Vad, which terminology you also had kind of coined earlier, which I also have observed it respectfully. So when we are emphasizing Nam, like today's class, towards the end I heard, so Nam is having everything and it is all, the most important. So the tendency is to actually focus on that and increase that and, just do that. So, however, we see the same effects of Nava in the, like in terms of Katha also, like Satamayam, Sarvatam, Nisargo, Tadarthvani, Shuddhchetasa, etc.
Yeah.
And Brahmaji is telling, who can go back, those whose goosebumps come when they hear Harikatha, Yaccha Prachanti Agabito, etc.
Yes.
And Narada is telling Prachini Barhi that, that you go to a place where the devotees are discussing and they're, Pulaki Kritangana. So that aspects also we see that it is about experiences are about other aspects of Lord also. So how do we understand this thing? Because it appears to be one substance of Krishna's holy sound.
All right.
How separate
Yeah.
name from?
Yeah, but Krishna is a Vaidurya-mani, right? Krishna is a gem who appears different from different angles. So there are many aspects to Krishna's existence. His Naam is there, his Roop is there, his Leela is there. And the freedom has been given, Swa Vasana Anusarena. Do according to your Vasana. Do according to your devotional tendencies. The thought process that everything should boil down only to one limb of bhakti is sort of an impersonal approach, because why reject the Rupa, Guna and Leela when they are inspiring so many devotees? Our discussion is on Śikṣāṣṭakam. Śikṣāṣṭakam is focused on Naam. So we are glorifying Naam. If our discussion would be on another book like Ragvartma Chandrika, today I would be describing Smaran. And I would be glorifying Smaran. But today our subject matter of discussion is Śikṣāṣṭakam. Śikṣāṣṭakam is centered around Naam. And I cannot do justice to Naam without glorifying Naam. So this is the nature of any glorification, that once a particular limb of bhakti is glorified, it is brought out to be the highest. And this is the best. This is called as Anvay. And Vyatirek, there is nothing except for this. So positive glorification and negative glorification, both will be seen. This is the best. And there is nothing useful besides this. So both types of glorification are seen. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, always remember Krishna. Vismartavya na jatuchit, never forget Krishna. So this is Anvay Mukh, Vyatirek Mukh. Positive and negative, both mouths are speaking in the same verse. But that is for Smaran. Verses you quoted are for Katha. Similarly, you will find about Naam. Similarly, you will find about other limbs of Bhakti. One who observes Nirjala Ekadashi has achieved everything. Nothing remains to be done. Of course. So if nothing remains to be done, I should stop after me. I should patiently wait to go back home, back to Godhead after one Nirjala Ekadashi. But we should understand Shastric statements speak like this because the respective followers of those particular limbs of bhakti get strength by those statements, and those statements are also literally true. And we should continue to follow according to our vasana, according to our devotional tendencies. Because this is not a competition and there is no ranking system here. Nobody is going to be ranked here. We all need to achieve Krishna Prem, and nobody will be declared, because I have been saying many times, especially those of us who are from India, because there is so much competition and competitive exams and scoring marks, and this tendency also boils into bhakti. So Krishna is one day going to declare all India rank 1 for this year in Krishna Bhakti. And sometimes you see within the institution they have ranking system. All India rank 1 for this seva, all world rank 1 for that seva. That may be good for achieving some temporary purpose, but in the spiritual world it doesn't work that way. Because there is no ranking system in the spiritual world. Bhagwan loves Shri Hanuman intensely. Bhagwan loves his sakhas intensely. Bhagwan loves his parents intensely. Bhagwan loves his gopis more than his life. Bhagwan loves Uddhav. Bhagwan loves the trees. Bhagwan loves everybody. And our quantification is to justify our superiority. We understand that. But the spiritual world is not a competition to earn the first rank. So that is how we should understand it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you everyone so much for some wonderful questions, and thank you so much Hari Parsha Prabhu for your really enlightening answers. We're very grateful for your time and all the preparation that you do for these classes and answering questions and putting the slides together. It's really, really wonderful. I'll invite all the devotees now to unmute and give a big thank you to Hari Parsha Prabhu.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Prabhuji.
much.
Thank you so much, Hari Parsha.
Thank you so much for this wonderful
Shri
class.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Shri Chaitanya
Thank you.
Mahaprabhu.
Thank you.
Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Jai
Thank you so
Krishna.
much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Hare Krishna.
We look forward to seeing you next week.
Jai
Hare
Samadhi.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.